Virginia, head coach Brian O'Connor, outfielder Brandon Downs, third baseman Kenny Towns, and starting pitcher Brandon Waddell. Coach, if you'd begin with an opening statement.
Thank you. A little bit different of a starting pitching performance tonight than last night. Brandon Waddell was just terrific. It seemed like, after the first 4 innings, he really settled in, did a terrific job of, mixing all of his pitches, kind of keeping their hitters off balance, and certainly we had another really good offensive night. A number of hit and runs that were executed in some clutch situations, and guys came up big with some RBI opportunities. So just really couldn't be more proud of our club. Facing elimination, facing the end of the season, and you have somebody like Waddell step up and pitch like that, and our offensive ball club, just would not be denied. And now it all comes down to tomorrow night, and I know our guys will come out and play loose and aggressive like they have this entire postseason, and I'm looking forward to seeing them go out and compete tomorrow night.
Open the floor for questions. We'll begin in the second row.
Andrew Ramspacker, Charlottesville Daily Progress. Brian, I remember you mentioned coming back to Game 2 of the Super Regional and how you were as calm as you've ever been going into that game against elimination. Did you have a similar feeling today, and if so, why?
I did, because I know, the bounce back that this team's shown all year long. You know when you go through a season with a team, you start to learn and understand, what they're made of and what the fiber of a team is. And, I told the team last night after the game that, there's no panic in this ball club, that, that they'd come out tonight and play another great ball game, and we'd have a chance to win. So, I can assure you that I've had no problem sleeping, and I don't think the players have either.
Here in the front row, Doug.
Doug Dowdy from the Roanoke Times. Brandon, was there any discussion before the ninth inning about you coming out, and what about in the later innings about how did you think you'd stay in the whole way?
I didn't know how long I would be in the game. I just kind of tried to keep going until they told me to stop. We didn't really have any discussion between me and Coach Kays or any of the other coaches, so I was just prepared to go out there and prepared to try and get the job done.
Staying in the front row, Kendall.
Kendall Rogers, perfect game. Brandon picked a pretty good time to have that 9-inning complete game. I guess just talk about, just kind of what was working for you stuff-wise, just kind of your approach against those guys.
I felt good from the start. I feel like in the beginning I was trying to do a little bit too much, trying to put a little bit too much behind the ball, so spraying here and there. I got in trouble with a couple walks, but I feel like I settled in later on in the game, had most of the pitches working, could put them where I needed to, and Coleman called a great game behind the plate, mixing up pitches, trying to keep hitters off balance.
Here in the front row.
Jeff White, VirginiaSports.com. Brian, 28 hits, 15 runs in 2 games. Is this the offensive team that everyone expected Virginia to have going into the season?
Wow. Maybe, yeah. Certainly there's a lot of real athletic skill in that lineup. Just the ability of guys to get down the line and the pressure that puts on infielders, through most of our lineup. And, we've got really very much a veteran lineup. And, I remember back a month and a half, 2 months ago, Coach McMullen and I having a conversation, and, we just believed, the two of us, that at some point, this would all come together and we'd have a real complete lineup that we feel like we're capable of. And fortunately it's shown up here in Omaha, and fortunately it's shown up the last 2 ball games. And I think that goes back to, Jeff, what I talked about, what these guys are made of. They've got a lot of at-bats under their belt. There's a lot of really good contact hitters in this lineup. We don't strike out much, and we're pretty athletic. So
On the right, Mitch.
Mitch Sherman, ESPN.com. For Towns and Downs, it was starting to get late there in the 6th before you guys got ahead. what did you see with Beatty, and did you feel like you were starting to get to him? What happened there to kind of help things, help the ball get rolling?
I thought throughout the game we were getting pretty good swings at him. Everyone was seeing the ball pretty well. I guess as the game was going on, he starting to leave some pitches up, and he gave us some opportunities in the 6th through the 9th inning to be able to execute some plays.
I just thought we did a really good job of showing discipline with runners in scoring position in those later innings, and that allowed us to get a couple big hits in those situations to put some runs on the board.
Here in the second row.
This is for either Kenny or Brandon Marchionado from the Washington Post. Did you guys as hitters, as the game went along and Brandon sort of got in his groove, does that give you guys maybe some additional confidence or comfort at the plate just watching your pitcher roll through a lineup like he was late?
I mean, he was tremendous throughout the whole game. He gave us a lot of confidence. Even if we weren't going to be able to come through one inning, he was going to come out there and pitch his bag off like he did, and it gave us an opportunity to come through.
Kenny, do you have anything to add?
I think we were able to really just get some momentum offensively, and when our innings were over, Waddell did a great job just getting us back in the dugout, and we were able to just keep that offensive momentum going.
Aaron.
Aaron Fitt, Baseball America. Kenny and Brandon, once they started putting runners in motion a little bit there in the 6th inning and mixing up, I guess, the attack a little bit, how much fun is that for you guys to force the action like that, with a hit and run?
Well, it's a lot of fun. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and we're doing a great job of executing whatever motion was put on, and it was really getting to them, and it was giving us situations to where we could just start scoring some runs.
Stay in the front, Kendall.
Kendall again. Brian, about a month and a half or so ago in Tallahassee, you kind of told me that you felt like Brandon Downs over here was a guy that you thought could finally get things going in the postseason. I guess just talk about the job that he did tonight, and just suddenly he's an offensive guy again.
Well, I'm so proud of him. I really am. I think it's been well documented. What he's went through this year. With his wrist and everything, and like I said back then, Kendall, he grinded through it for his team, and when you do that, and you're selfless, and you continue to fight, the game comes back around to you, and it's rewarding him now and rewarding his teammates. Obviously, he's showing here in Omaha how skilled he is and how talented he is. This guy had over 30 extra base hits last year, and he's a great athlete, and he's, now we have somebody that's, as skilled as he is in the 8-hole, that makes a pretty well-rounded lineup.
Second row.
Brandon, obviously, yesterday it was the 3rd inning that kind of got unraveled for Kirby. Today, the 4th inning, they get that double there early, and then you're able to pick that guy off at second base. How big was that? Do you feel kind of the momentum kind of switched in your direction at that point? It seemed like you cruised from that time. Kind of take us through that play and what that did for you.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. In that specific inning, I think in the beginning, like I said earlier, I was trying to do too much. Kind of put me in that situation in the beginning anyway. The pick play was put on, and we just executed it. It was a huge momentum swing. They go from a guy in scoring position to nobody on. So I think it was something that was definitely big for us.
We'll take 3 more questions, starting here in the front row.
Brian, will Josh start tomorrow, and going into a game 3 without having used Artie or Nick in this series, how big a positive is that for you?
Jeff, I can't give you a 100% right now that Spores is going to start. I think it's very likely that he will. But certainly, not having touched Lewicki or Howard in these first 2 ball games, is important. It gives us an ability to, maybe chop the game up tomorrow or do whatever we need to do to win the game. Those 2 guys have been great for us all year. They've been great here in Omaha, and they'll certainly be called upon tomorrow.
In the back corner.
Ian Eklund, AP Broadcast. Kenny, what can you say about the support from the Virginia crowd and the people that traveled out here to Omaha?
I mean, it's just great to see that fan base here, just traveling all this way and making a big trip to come out here and support us. It shows you how much people really care about the program, and you really like to get behind them and just do well for them.
And our final question here in the front row.
Yeah, Brandon Waddell, could you talk about any nerves that you had before the game and how you remain calm and the challenges of being in a elimination game?
My approach really to the game is you can't pull in the circumstances and the situation of the game. I feel like if you do that, you get caught up in moments and your head starts spinning, and all of a sudden, bases loaded, they've scored a bunch of runs. So my approach to it is kind of just breaking it down, trying to make it simple and stick to the game that we've, executed all year.